Joined on the broadcast by Leigh Cunningham, currently the voice of the number one team in the Canadian Hockey League, the Sarnia Sting. Was this expected in Sarnia? What has been the key to the success for the Sting?
I don't know, Patrick, if the expectation was number one in the CHL for 5 weeks running, but certainly the anticipation was going into the season that this team was going to produce offense, and no team in the Canadian Hockey League has produced more offense than the Sarnia Sting. So they were fifth in the OHL last year in goal production. So I think on that side of the puck, the expectations have been surpassed, certainly, but everyone, I think, within the OHL thought this team would score. Where this hockey club has excelled, perhaps to a lot of people's surprise, has been on the defensive side of the puck. They have the fourth fewest goals allowed in the Ontario Hockey League, and certainly when you couple that with the number one penalty kill in the OHL.
And a name fans are going to get to know, Jordan Kyrou, second-round draft pick of the St. Louis Blues. Likely seeing him, I would think, with Team Canada. Tell us about him and his success thus far and future going forward.
He's a dynamic player. There's no question about it. And I quite agree that certainly he will be in St. Catharines in early December to try and get a spot with Team Canada for the World Juniors at the Summer Showcase in Plymouth, Michigan. He was terrific, scoring 4 goals for the Canadian players assembled at that event. And his season's been terrific. He's the only player in the OHL that has surpassed 50 points. He does it with flair. He's got a tremendous set of eyes on the ice. He works very well with Drake Rimshaw and whoever else he's paired with on a line. And he really is I would say, the most dynamic player in the Ontario Hockey League this year. He's just a tremendous game breaker. And I think the thing that has opened some eyes about Jordan Kyrou, he's much more proficient on the defensive side of the puck. Again, getting back to that overall team defensive concept that has been so good for the Sarnia Sting. He's the captain of this hockey club. He has taken that captaincy to heart and certainly wants to bring on some leadership capabilities. I think this is a very skilled, talented player who now is maturing, evolving into what he hopes to be a pro and what he hopes to have as a long career with the St. Louis Blues moving forward.
Number of other drafted players on the team, of course. Who stands out, do you think, in that group as perhaps the best pro prospect?
Certainly when you couple his skill set with that maturity level that I think he's brought on this year, but he's not alone. Adam Ruzicka's had a tremendous season. He's a draft pick of the Calgary Flames. He's been a staple in the top, say, 5-7 in terms of point production in the OHL all season long. And there's another player who has taken his defensive responsibilities much more to heart this year. Obviously going to Calgary's camp, I think, enlightened him on the fact that every shift had to mean something. Every shift involves a 200-foot game. So I think that's been a big part of Adam's development, is the fact that he's recognizing that, yes, I've got the skill and the size and the requisite skill set to make it at the pro level in future times, but I have to do it on the defensive side of the puck, and I think he's been much more diligent in that respect.
Lastly, I wanted to ask about the man behind the bench, Derian Hatcher, longtime star in the NHL. He's in his third season there as head coach. How has he evolved as a junior coach, and do we see his physical style of play bleeding onto the Sting on the ice?
Well, I think so. There's no doubt about it. Derian Hatcher never met a body check he didn't like in several years in the National Hockey League, primarily with the Dallas Stars, and he's been very good. He's a very soft-spoken man, but obviously he's a very imposing guy based on his size and his experience. But I think Derian would be the first one to deflect a lot of the praise the team has enjoyed this year towards his coaching staff. Brad Staubitz, obviously David Legwan has joined the bench. David Legwan and Derian Hatcher, the co-owners of the hockey club, now partnering on the bench as well with Brad Staubitz and Jeff Barrett, who's another underrated member of that coaching staff. I think collectively they've done a really good job of working with these players, and they've all got kind of different personalities, different perspectives, different levels of experience, and I think it's meshed very well with Derian. You've got kind of the quiet approach with David Legwan. It's a little bit more gregarious, a little bit more pat on the back and that kind of thing. Brad Staubitz works with the team in terms of conditioning, so he's very close to the players, and Jeff Barrett is the X's and O's guy, and he knows the league like the back of his hand. He deciphers video and dissects games and whatnot. Collectively, I think it's really worked, and certainly Derian is the front man, but he'd be the first to deflect the praise that he's receiving this year in terms of his coaching.
Best of luck to you and the Sting this season, Leigh. Things going well so far.
And they are indeed, and we got a long way to go, obviously. Right now, they're just trying to fend off the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. The Greyhounds have won 11 straight hockey games. Of course, the Sting had a 14-game winning streak earlier this season, and I think that has been good for the Sarnia Sting to have the Greyhounds playing as well as they have, because you look in your rearview mirror and you see that team kind of right behind you each and every time you look at the standings, and I think that's been a good motivator for the Sarnia Sting, and it's helped to keep them sharp.
Yeah, interesting to see how it plays out. Thanks for telling us all about it.
All right, Patrick, anytime. Thanks.
That's Leigh Cunningham, the voice of the current number one team in the CHL, the Sarnia Sting, joining us on the broadcast. You're listening to Carstar, Cape Breton, Screaming Eagles Hockey, 1270 CJCB.